Hey guys, all right, so before you get into watching Act 3 or reading Act 3 or however it is that you want to consume Act 3, let's review what happened in Act 2 that we read on Tuesday. So when Act 2 opens, we're in the proctor's house and we have Elizabeth and John having a conversation. She is asking him to go to Salem to tell people that lost my train of thought, to tell people that Abigail had told him that there was no witchcraft involved in this whole situation and that they were just caught doing something they weren't supposed to do, and so they were going to be in trouble. And he was a little hesitant about it, which hurt her feelings because she thinks he's trying to protect Abigail because of the affair. Really, he's probably trying to protect himself because he's scared that if he accuses her of lying and basically trying to hurt people, that she's going to come back and say, yes, we had an affair. And if he gets accused of an affair, or if he's proved to have had an affair, he will go to jail because they're Puritans and they were allowed to send you to jail for doing immoral things because they had a theocracy. God was in charge of like the government. So they followed biblical laws as well as just regular laws. Then Mary Warren came in and let them know what had been going on at the courts. In 1 week, 39 people have been arrested, and they're being arrested because the girls point at them and accuse them and scream, and they are then arrested. So that is what happens there. Proctor's pretty horrified, and at this point, Elizabeth says, you need to go to Abigail and just tell her that she is a whore, because they have mentioned that someone, probably Abigail, mentioned Goody Proctor's name in the court. Then Reverend Hale shows up, the witchcraft expert, and he is trying to decide if Goody Proctor is a good Christian woman or not. And so he gives them a little quiz, asks them to tell their commandments. And of course, John Proctor forgets the adultery commandment because he has a little bit of problem with that one. Then, right as he's about to leave, a bunch of the men show up saying that their wives have been arrested. Giles Corey's wife has been arrested. Francis Nurse's wife has been arrested. And then people from the court show up. And it turns out that Abigail has officially accused Elizabeth Proctor. She said she came running in and had a needle stabbed in her stomach and said that Goody Proctor had sent her spirit out of her body and stabbed her, and that if she went, they would find a doll with a needle stabbed in it, which of course we saw Mary Warren give Goody Proctor the doll, and Mary Warren even says, hey, I did that. It's not a voodoo doll. I did that, but they don't believe her. And so at the end of Act 2, Goody Proctor has been arrested. Francis Nurse has been arrested. Giles Corey has been arrested. And when we left the end of Act 2, we had John Proctor telling Mary Warren that she was going to go to court and she was going to tell the court how that needle got to be stabbed into the doll. And John Proctor, she warned John Proctor, hey, if I do that, they're going to kill me. They're going to accuse me of being a witch. And she also says, Abby will tell the whole court about the affair that you had. And he says, well, good. It's probably about time. Because really, this whole thing has nothing to do with witchcraft. It actually has to do with personal vengeance. People are using this situation to try to get back at people they already didn't like, which is what happens a lot of times in scapegoating. When a group is blamed, they're being blamed because people already didn't like them. So if you hear someone scapegoat a group, for instance, if you hear someone scapegoat immigrants about something, it could be because they already didn't like them. Or if you hear people say, the reason that our society is falling apart is because of people who are gay, there's a good chance that those people already didn't like gay people to start with, so they're blaming them for everything that's wrong in society. And that's how scapegoating works. You take out your own anger on a group and you choose to blame that group. And you hear people do it all the time, blaming the Republicans or blaming the Democrats. Everything would be perfect if it wasn't for this group. When the reality is our problems in this country are pretty complex. Getting one group or the other is not the complete problem that's going on. It can make a difference, but not the complete problem. But people use scapegoating to blame a group of people they already don't like, they don't relate to, they don't consider like them. And so that's what you see happening. Abigail is blaming Elizabeth because she wants to get John. The Putnams want a reason that all their babies died. Reverend Paris wants to stay minister. They all have these private things that they want. and they're getting them through this, but it is not actually about real witches. And so that's kind of where we leave off on Act 2. Now, Act 3, you can read it, you can listen to it, or you can watch the movie version. Now, the video that I have for you is not great of Act 3. Act 3 is fantastic, and the movie version of The Crucible is really, really fantastic. But the version that I have for you, I had to screencast from an Amazon video, and so it's not the best. If you have a spare dollar and you have Amazon Prime, you can rent The Crucible for $1, and you could watch Act 3, or you could watch the whole thing. It's really actually very good. It was made in 1996, so it's a little old, but it's a really good movie version. But some of you, it might be worth $1, just not have to read it. But you're welcome to watch the version that I have linked, or read it, or listen to it. Act 3 is the big courtroom scene, the famous courtroom scene. John Proctor brings Mary Warren to court, and she is going to tell the truth. And he is willing to do whatever it takes to make people understand that this court is all about lies. And so what you get to see is really John Proctor's crucible. A crucible, guys, is actually a little cup that you melt metal in. You can put the cup in the fire and melt metal, but the cup will not burn. Okay, it will not melt. And so we use the word crucible to describe a task that is really, really hard. And so when John Proctor takes himself to the court, knowing that everyone may find out about his affair, that is his crucible, okay? It's his crucible moment, a really tough moment. And so it's a moment in his personal identity where he's trying to decide, what kind of man am I? And it's a moment in his identity where he realizes that he can't just try to save his wife. He needs to save his community. It's bigger than just him. And it's a moment in his life where he is going to have to make some ethical and moral decisions. You're going to watch him face a crucible in this. You're also going to see Elizabeth Proctor face a crucible in this, where she has to decide about her own personal identity and her own relationship to the community and her own ethics and morals. Mary Warren has to face a crucible as well when she goes and has to accuse these girls of lying. And you're going to see Abigail, who, again, is choosing her own personal identity, her own desires over her community, and is choosing to throw her ethics to the side and not have any morals because she's determined to get what she wants, and what she wants is John Proctor. Act 3 is fantastic, guys. I hope that you enjoy it. If you have any questions about it, you can always send me an email, and that will be just fine. But feel free to read it, to watch it, or to listen to the audio, and happy reading. Enjoy Act 3, and after you finish it, you need to do the reflection questions today. I guess that's all I have, and once again, if you have any questions, email me at laurie.allen@barrow.k12.ga.us. That's all.